Hey there, YouTube. Shady Bill's Garage here. Going to do a quick first ride review of my son's, or what will be my son's, 2000 Kawasaki W650. I'm not going to go to in-depth about the W650 yet. That'll be my next review where I compare it to my Triumph Thruxton and compare it to a Bonneville. And really, what is a better, I guess you would call, retro bike. This was the first real retro bike. This bike came out a year before the new Bonneville came out. And it was basically a sales flop here in the States. It was only available here in the United States for 2000 and 2001. I believe it kept being made in Europe and Japan until 2008, when emissions stopped it from being made, and then they went up to the W800 added fuel injection, and then eventually brought it back here to the States, I believe in 2019. But this one here is a 2000. I just put how many miles on this thing today? 140 miles today. So I think I've given it a good first ride. Has 2,418 on the clock now, and I mean, it doesn't look it. It's really a nice bike. What are my thoughts? So I will say this bike has all the power you need, but it's definitely timid. It's not a lot of power. I think it's 40-something horsepower, about 43 horsepower at the wheels, and 37 foot-pounds of torque. So it's got enough power, but it's not going to scare anybody. It'll be beginner rider friendly, but still with someone who's had, I was doing the math a few minutes ago, I've had my motorcycle since 36 years now. Still, I spent all day on this and was super happy with it. Are you going to get on the interstate and do an iron butt? Absolutely not. But on roads like this, which is what I've been riding all day, 35, 40 mile an hour roads, this bike is wonderful. And when you hit really nice roads on a bike that is this comfortable and this easy to sit on, it is almost motorcycle nirvana. The seating position is very comfortable. I wish the bars didn't have this much of a bend back. I wish they were a little flatter, but the height is pretty good. The foot peg position is really nice. It is, for an air-cooled bike, the engine is not hot at all. I mean, it's 78 degrees today. It is a beautiful day here in New Jersey. And I just had to go for a ride. So I spent the last 2.5 hours just riding. I have not gotten off the saddle except to get gas once. You're good in the saddle for about an hour, then your ass starts to get a little numb. And really, the bike is really beginner friendly and experienced rider friendly. But I will tell you, the biggest problem I have with this bike is vibration. This bike is a parallel twin, but it's a 360-degree parallel twin, where most of them now, like the Triumphs and the Kawasaki's, are 270-degree. And the problem with that is both these pistons, where you can see the exhaust comes out, they both come up and down at the exact same time. Basically like two thumpers together, two single-cylinder bikes going up and down together. Even though they have 360-degree firing order, where they are firing exactly opposite of each other. The problem is the piston at the top dead center and the bottom dead center, they both come to a rest at the exact same spot, which causes more vibration. I hear it actually gives you a little more power than a 270 from what I've read, but it gives you a little more vibration. So while this bike is super smooth up to about 2,600 RPM, which is around 45 miles an hour, and at that point it is buttery smooth. At 50, where you spend most of your time, it starts to vibrate through your ass and through your hands. And at 55, it's even worse. So between 50 and 60 is probably the worst vibration this bike has. So if I was going to do a lot more riding, if I was going to make this my everyday bike, I would probably change the sprockets, or at least the front sprocket, if they make a bigger one, to lower the RPMs a little bit to where I ride most of the time, which is 50 miles an hour, to get it out of that vibration spot. So like I said, I did 140 miles on it. I stopped for gas once just to see how it did. It got probably around 50 miles per gallon. It's a little busy here on this intersection right now. Starting to be rush hour. But altogether, the handlebar, the width of the handlebar makes this thing very flickable. It feels light on its feet. I've only hit pegs a couple of times. It is easy to hit pegs, but on this kind of bike, it doesn't really, the suspension doesn't really push you to the point of where you're grinding pegs. This is an extremely comfortable suspension. The front end's probably too soft. The back end doesn't have enough on compression dampening. So on a bumpy road, it is a lovely place to be until you pick up the pace. And when you pick up the pace, the bike will wallow and it will pogo. Especially in the back, but also in the front, I feel it's starting to wallow. Now that's me with 220 pounds on it. Someone lighter probably would be suspended a little better. But, this bike is not designed to be a road racer. This is a retro British bike that is probably more retro than the competition. It came out, like I said, in 2000. Was only in the United States till 2001. It was a real poor seller because it was kind of expensive at the time at $6,499 MSRP, where Kawasaki was selling their own ZR750, which was a 4-cylinder 750 for $5,400 with like 35 more horsepower. So this bike didn't really take off. It was a little before the retro craze really came in and the cafe racer craze came in and everyone started to want one. So unfortunately, by the time the retro craze really caught up in the States, this bike was already taken off the market and they basically gave it all to Triumph. So my next video, I'm going to compare this to my Thruxton, and I might have my son ride it, I'll ride it and feel the difference. But as of right now, I've had a wonderful day on this bike. Would I recommend it over a Bonneville? You will have to watch my next video and find out. But if you find this for the right price, and you just like to do back roads like this, and not go on the highway, this is a bike that you cannot beat. Thanks, YouTube. Bye.